Mate and I were just talking about what's interesting. Why do you cane prune and why do you spur prune? There's a number of different reasons. Spur pruning itself is slightly less expensive to do, or somewhat less expensive during the pruning season. So it's a cheaper method of pruning. You do have a little bit more work in shoot thinning during the season with spur pruning because you're dealing with a lot of older wood, which throws more incidental shoots as well. With cane pruning, you've got a number of buds that you've laid down. With spur pruning, you're intending to lay a similar number of buds, which I'll show you, but you do end up getting incidentals. So there's a cost factor in choosing to spur. Spur pruning also has some other advantage or disadvantage, however you might look at it. It does tend to throw a lower bunch weight per bunch, and that's because cane pruning will throw very strong distal bunches of higher weight off the cane, whereas spur pruning will be more linear with its weight, or very, very similar in the weight. So the weight will be slightly lower per bunch. You do have the opportunity possibly to leave a few more bunches in the same area with spur. So it's a bit of a preferential thing for a few different reasons, and it depends on the variety and the clone, what your market is, whether you're going to spur or cane. There's a slight saving in cost with spur.
And that also has an impact on climate?
Yeah, it can. It depends. There's a little bit more work in keeping the spur canopy open during the season, as I talked about shoot thinning. So with cane, you have much more open canopy, which is good for a climate like this where we can get disease in the canopy. There's a lot more spur pruning in the north, in the big cropping areas, where they do sort of very limited cleanup, if you like, of the corn. The other thing to say is with spur pruning can create the same issues we were talking about before with flow and getting interruption in the flow with older wood. And once you get interruption in that flow with the older wood, there's a choice at some stage to say, right, I need to go back to cane to refresh that wood. So sometimes spur pruning and cane pruning work in cycle with each other. You'll go back to cane pruning at some stage. Okay? So spur pruning, we're doing exactly the same thing, looking for strength and position. Okay, these are very old vines as well. These are 1989 plantings. They may not look it to you, but because they are moderate in vigour. But they're very old plantings, and therefore, and they've been spurred for a long time, and that's been the choice in here because the spurs have continued to throw good position and good wood. And you'll see that there's very little option in here for replacement canes, spur positions. So the choice has been, let's continue with these as spur. And there is the odd option popping up for cane replacement in the future that we'll need to go to. But some of these, including this vine I'm looking at, doesn't have replacement spur positions. So a closer vine spacing than the other position. We were 1.5, these ones are 1.2. So consequently, we're going down from 20 odd buds that we're looking for down to 3 to 4 spur positions on each side, which will give you 2 buds on each spur that you're looking for. You can see the 2 bud spur that was left, and therefore in the region of 18 to 20 buds in a 1.2 metre space. You can see in relationship to that 1.5 metre spacing, it's just as a matter of position that we're dropping the bud number down. So in understanding that's what we're looking for, strength and position. Position is low, strength is at least pencil thickness. Okay, that sort of 3/4 of a centimetre, half a centimetre look. So we're trying to keep it low and heavy in position and heavy in strength. 2 clear buds that you see to make a spur. So first spur I look at, if I'm working from left to right on this vine, I can see that both of these canes are strong enough for me to take as a spur position. I'm going to go for the lowest, strongest. So that is the same strength as the other one, so I'm going to use that as my spur and take out the higher one with that little bit of distance in the 2-year-old wood to make sure I don't get die back into the 1-year-old wood. And that's my spur position. Simple as that. And you can see in doing that, Again, 2 canes here. This is an interesting one because the bottom cane isn't what I would call pencil thickness. It's a bit weak. So I would rather, in leaving that spur position, leave this strong wood at the top, cutting away my spur at least the width and distance from the bud again. And if I'm going to leave that strong wood at the top, but I want to keep the growth low, I'm going to leave what we call a finger and thumb at the bottom, which is a 1 bud spur at the base. Why we call it finger and thumb? There's a thumb, there's a finger. That leaves me a good option for next year. So again, thinking about the following year to try and keep low and strong, I'm just leaving a position there for a shoot to go. Up here, same thing, a poor one at the top and a strong one at the bottom. This one's just strong enough by me, pencil thickness, taking away the one at the bottom. Again, just strong enough as a 2 bud spur, taking out the one at the top. Really strong at the bottom, one at the top, really strong at the bottom, pretty weak, 1 bud spur. Once you've done that, when you're pulling out, always have your sunglasses on, or protective eyewear to pull out, because in spur pruning you can see once you've cut away and you're pulling out, it's really easy to belt yourself. If that flicked out at me, it's going to hit me hard in the face. So once you've pulled out a fair way and it hasn't come out, make a couple of cuts. It clears it out, all the foliage into the middle of the row, all the canes. And what we're left with is a vine with strongest and lowest position on these old vines that have a lot of high position, but strongest and lowest position with 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, plus the odd singles here. There's 16 buds there. We're looking for that 16 to 20. These older vines in spur position really prune themselves. You could see my decisions were pretty easy. Looking for any suckers down the bottom, which have been cleared out during the season on this vine, and that spur pruning's done.
Do a quick one.
Do another one?
Yep.
All right. So if we're moving along to this vine, you can see with this vine that it's actually, but it's a little bit short. So there's only 2 spur positions that we have. I might leave a finger and thumb if I have it. This one, I don't like the position how they're really close to each other. So I'm going to take out the high, leave a strong 2 bud. I've got a really good little single down here to try and lower this. See that? It's not pencil thickness, but I know if I leave that at 1 bud, I'll get a strike out of that next year, and I can leave the lowest, strongest at the top, finger and thumb. Okay, there. 2 bud spur. Call that clear 2 buds. Another low one, another good low position there. Take out the poor low one there and leave the strong one. If the low one there was strong, I would have left it. Two, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13. We only got 13 there, but it's a short vine. Don't crowd spurs. A fist space between each spur is a good directive. To have a fist space between each spur means that when you get shoots coming out in either direction, you're not crowding bunches. Okay, you overlap those spurs, you're creating and clustering of bunches. Create shade, disease, powdery mildew, downy mildew, detritus can get into those bunches much more easily. So sunlight in this region into each bunch is a real plus. More sunlight in, less disease, more even ripening. Cleaning off any 1-year-old wood, that's spur pruning.